Hey, I won't waste your time. Hey, us is where we shine. Teaching Tuesday. It's more than just another day. Teaching Tuesday. Find your answers in this place. Teaching Tuesday. Teaching Tuesday.
Hello. We're back for another Teaching Tuesday. I guess I'm going to go live over on TikTok too. Why not? Why not add TikTok to the mix? Let me adjust things a little bit. I think my camera got pushed back right before we got started. But today we're having a really cool conversation. I can't wait for you guys to get in on it because listen, when you come to Teaching Tuesday, you got to recognize that some things are going to happen, some things are going to be said. We're going to upend your thinking. So you got to be open to learning. You just got to be open to learning. And if you're not open, one of the things that we've talked about repeatedly is that if you're not open to correction, then how will you grow? If you have to be right all of the time and you didn't make a mistake and you didn't do it and all of these things, then when you get new information, how will you grow? And so my guest today is going to be bringing that new. I'm here to tell you. And I'm so excited to have this conversation about working smart versus working hard. And I've gotten one of the premier growth strategists in the world. Yeah, I said it, in the world, to join me along with your favorite brand outfitter, Jada West. And so without further ado, I'm going to welcome business and growth strategist Shauna Solomon of Shauna Solomon and Associates, and my favorite brand outfitter, Jada West of the founder of the Unshy Movement, to Teaching Tuesday. Y'all give them some love. Hey.
Hey.
How is everyone?
Oh, I'm doing very well. How are you doing?
Great. I'm great.
I'm trying to be live on TikTok as well. And I don't know if you want to try to be live on TikTok, Jada. I don't know if that's going to well, as long as we don't connect, I guess we're not going to clash. So whatever y'all want to do, I'm here for it. So let's get into this today. All right. I hate when StreamYard moves my stuff, y'all. Speaking of which, we're talking today about how to work smart. But I think before we get into that, one of the things that we want to address is how the construct of working hard may have started in our thoughts and our psyche and our work ethic. And so, Shauna, I want to start with you and say, how did you first come into the knowledge of hard work and working hard?
That was actually, I felt like it was embedded in me from my aunt who was an entrepreneur, my mom who was, she was a single mom. I got up and seen her work every day. And that's kind of everybody around me. They were strong Black women. And it was, you have to work hard. You have to do this. You have to do this. You have to do that. So that was just what going into high school, leaving high school, I knew that I had to work hard in order to get what it was that I wanted.
What about you, Jada?
I felt like my concept of it came from, I feel like it started, I felt like I just had to work hard for what I wanted. Like it never felt like the things that I desired came like easily or naturally. And I feel like a lot of it was mostly, my perception of what that looked like and what that meant and what I felt like I deserved. But like starting out, like that's what I felt like you had to do. You got to work hard to get what you want. And I think that there is something to be said about being diligent about your work and, having a spirit of excellence and all of that. But I think that they have become conflated. And it's somewhere I realized that I was trying to earn the approval of people. They like, especially like the whole people pleasing thing. I love how Steph always calls herself a former people pleaser. I love this, like a shift from recovering to former. I love that attitude. But I think that it was definitely just embedded from that, not wanting people to reject me, wanting to make sure that I was making sure everybody else feel good and feel comfortable and feel accepted. And it really working hard to avoid anything that would cause conflict or friction. And wanting to have this presentation where I felt like I was giving the illusion that I had it all together. I had it all figured out. And even if that meant that, behind the scenes, I was, crumbling. So yeah, that's,
Right.
I can trace it back very, very far.
Absolutely.
You said so many good things, and I feel like, even though I think it's definitely a narrative that's universal, especially in American society, I feel like as melanated women, we do get that message. Like Shauna said, it was embedded in us. And I think a lot of times it's because we have to consider the source. Something I tell my mom all the time is that, the world that you lived in was different. You came into a world where from a space of identity, you were fighting. You came in fighting. You came in, oh, they believed you were less than. Oh, they believed you were not as smart. Oh, you got to work from sun up to sun up. And that wasn't a typo. Oh, you got to do all this stuff. You got to prove, going back to what Jada says, you've got to prove yourself. And so then that begins to align work and worthiness. And something that I teach on is called healing the work wound, because we're wounded in that effort. One of the things that I truly believe is that we never had to earn worthiness, we had to affirm worthiness. And we don't know that until we come into that understanding, like Jada was talking about, that, we are worthy. Absolutely. I'm recovering codependent, I'm recovering people pleaser. I get it. I understand that we can spend a fair amount of time trying to make sure other people are comfortable with the way we do what we do. But at some point, there's a light bulb that goes off. And so I want to know, what was your light bulb moment? When did you move from, this working hard stuff? No. When did you start to have what I would call the beginning of an epiphany? Jada, what about you?
I don't believe that it was one moment, like by any means, but I do remember having one of my first branding clients. I was really focusing on the content strategy. And so I had a client who was also someone I considered to be like a mentor. I would call her my auntie. And her name is Tanya Smith. She is an amazing live stream video coach, and she wanted me to help her with getting on TikTok, which to me, like looking at her and like how far she had come, I was like, you need me to help you, like already kind of feeling like that feeling of like inadequacy and being challenged by that. And so that triggered my desire to really overcompensate in my delivery of what it was that I was, given to her in our services. And we had a conversation one day, and I had gone through like this whole like strategy for her, and I had did all this research, and I was just like breaking all this different stuff down. And I remember her having very specific questions for me, and the questions that she asked almost had nothing to do with this whole like strategy that I had like mapped out for her, all this work that I had did. And so she asked me these questions, and when I answered them, and to me they felt like very easy questions. They were just like, oh yeah, you do this and edit it this way and add this caption, and you should do this, and these are some of the best practices. And after we had that conversation, I answered her questions. She told me something that really struck me, and it never left. And she said that I would pay you for this right here. She was like, I would pay you just to answer these questions. She's like, you being able to answer these questions for me, and I don't have to go and do the work myself, that's worth every penny that I'm paying you. And she said it. Thank you, Seth. She said it, and it really like it kind of knocked me back a little bit, because I had never considered people paying me for my brilliance. And I gotten used to doing a lot of things for free and still doing those things and over delivering in the things that I was doing for free anyway, going back to the people pleasing thing. And so when she said that, it unlocked something in me that allowed me to see how the thing that comes so naturally to me is still deserves to be compensated. I still deserve to be compensated for my time, my efforts, the trial and errors that I had gone through. And so her saying that was like a moment that like really stuck with me, where it was like it like shifted me a little bit. And so yeah, that was my moment, one of my moments, but that's like one of the most memorable ones that sticks out to me.
We can't hear you.
I think you're muted, Steph.
No. Okay. I'm going to come back to that whole I will pay you for this right here piece. But Shauna, what was your epiphany as far as working hard, working smart? Like, when did you figure out working hard just might not be everything everybody says is cracked up to be?
So for me, I had a similar situation like Jada. It was a client who came to me and she actually paid me what I submitted. It was one of the first times I submitted a 5-figure invoice, and she paid it in full, like right away. And I remember thinking to myself, like, there was a time that I was doing this, getting this amount of money, but I was doing or had 10 to 15 clients within the firm. And this was back in December. I had just turned 50, and I knew that I could not continue to work the way that I was working, which was having anywhere between 15 and 20 clients to bring in $20,000 to $25,000 a month, and having one client that was just like, here. That was where it clicked for me. And not that I haven't thought about it before. It's just that I was always, again, in that mode. And going back to something that Jada said before, in that mode of that approval, that people pleasing and all of that. That's the space that I had been in up until I was 50. So getting somebody to pay me that 5-figure at that moment for something that I had done with, like I said, 10 to 15 clients, and in order to make that, having one client, it was like, oh yeah, I'm not going back to that again. This is the work smarter, not harder that I've been preaching to my clients. And this is what I want. This is what I want to do. And that's how it all came about for me. I mean, like I said, it's not nothing that I didn't hear before. It's just that sometimes when you're like us, we operate in a space that we're used to operating in, which is that constant hustle, that constant work hard. And I just feel like there are other ways in order to make that happen. And a lot of times it's your systems, it's your processes, and those things. And even though I had those in place, it took that client paying me that one lump sum that was like, whoa, all right, I don't need to do this with 15 clients. I'm good enough to do this with one. And like Jada said, like, people paying you for that is also like it's a wake-up call. It's like, this is what I'm getting paid for, and this is what I want, because if I can work with one client and get this, yeah, I'm not dealing with 15 clients like that. And it's stressful. It's stressful having even with a team. I feel like it's stressful. Again, I enjoyed making the money. Could I have made more? Absolutely. But that hustle mindset, it's not for me. And I just think that it's draining, it's tiring. Give me my lump sum. Let me work
Give me
smarter.
that. Listen, when you work smarter, not harder. But there's so many rich things that you all have said. I'm telling TikTok as you guys are talking. Listen, TikTok, you can only see me. If you want to see this whole conversation with my amazing guest, Shauna Solomon, as well as Jada Westing. Some of y'all know Jada. Skip on over to YouTube or Facebook. Remember, I'm Stephanie D. McKenzie everywhere. I'm not hard to find. All right. So back to what you guys were saying. I remember when I used to quantify clients. I used to sit there and I would say, what I can do, I can get 10 clients at what did I say? Yes, I can get 10 clients at $500 a month.
Yep.
Like an idiot. Now I'm talking about doing, we didn't call it brand development then. It was just basic marketing. But at that time, everybody thought they were a marketer, and we could have a whole conversation about that. I make t-shirts. I'm a marketer. I'm a marketer. You're not a marketer. Okay. Yeah. But I would quantify it. And then I remember the first time I told somebody in a meeting, I said, you know what? I want a $3,500 retainer. So because I also have a background in sales, I said, okay, strategize how you're going to get that because people hate to be sold to, but they love to buy. And so one of my strategies, and I still use it to this day, is that I double the price and then I cut it in half. I'm just going to keep it a buck. That's what I do. And so, I said, I'm looking at your program and truthfully, now here's the funny part. The amount that I'm calling out is actually the amount of what it really should be. But my people pleasing codependent self didn't know that back then, right? Because what is not being talked about enough is how when you're so bent on pleasing people, how you will screw up your bottom line and your revenue trying to be pleasing. So you're pleasing to them, but you're actually impoverishing yourself. You know what I'm saying? Like, and I'm not gonna sit here in front and act like, oh my God, it was so hard and I got it out the mud. I got nothing out of the mud. I grew up middle class. I've told y'all this, whatever. But by that same token, I like getting paid. I like having money to do X, Y, and Z. So yeah. And if only for the fact, let's forget about the practical matters. Let's talk about stewardship. I have to be a proper steward over my gifts and talents. And from what I learned, money is the only thing that separates the serious from the curious. So in my head at that time in my life, I wanted I think it was $3,500 retainer. So I doubled the price. I said, you know what, looking at your project, I think, and actually I made it even higher. I said, you know what, I really feel like we could do this for you for $7,500 a month. I think if I remember the conversation. And she was like, 7,500. Whoa. It's like, what? Because you're a new client, what I would like to do is reduce that down. If you enroll today, right? If you go ahead and if you say, yeah, I want this right now, we can do it for 35.
Mm.
Oh, yes, that's awesome because Shauna will tell you this, Jada can tell you this. If you're in sales, when you make the ask, you need to shut up. TikTok, shut up. Shut the up. Because the person that talks first loses.
Yep.
You lose. So I'm just going to lay my little ask on the table and I'm going to shut up. And I'm just going to sit there. You're going to hear Jeopardy music playing. I don't care. I ain't saying jack. And so that was the first time I think I closed that sale. I felt like I closed the sale worth a darn. So I think like 4 figures. Now, mind you, I've been in business for many, 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 many years. But again, when you're running businesses, especially when you're younger, when you're running businesses, it's different, right? Because you're not trying to maintain anything. You're a whole kid. You don't care. You're just like, whatever. And so really coming to the understanding of how to strategize sales and to close sales and everything. I was so thankful for my experience selling media. But I think one of you all said something, about the 5 figures. Boy, I tell you, there's nothing like that first 5-figure situation when it's paid in full, not an installment. And I will tell you, I had a nano freak out. Like, okay, the agreement does say no refunds, right? I did. I literally did. I was like, okay, it's good, it's great. All right, let's go. But I want to talk about because I know, Shauna, you've had some amazing successes in your business. We talked about how you had, and correct me if I'm wrong, you had a client that was making, what was it, 20,000 or something? Not even 20,000, 2,000. Ended up making 210,000 in a. Did I get that right?
She was making 12,000.
12,000.
She was on government assistance, and it was about 6 months later. I think we had the Google session in March, and by the end of November, she was actually at that point she was at like 96,000, and then the next year she was on her way to 210,000.
That's amazing.
It is.
Y'all say hi.
Hi.
Say hi to Samir. Okay.
Hey.
All right. So, but that's amazing growth. So I would dare say that Shauna Solomon knows about growth. She knows about success. She knows about succession plans. She knows about operations.
Yes.
Let's for a moment, let's get really pragmatic about the role that what we think about ourselves, this worthiness piece, and how that plays into our pricing strategy. Have you had that experience with your clients, and have you had it with yourself?
I have. I think that for a long time, it took me, I had some of the same situations that you did as well, where I would say one thing and then I would backtrack. But I also had to be okay with walking away to things that were no longer, that were one, not going to align with my mission and my values, and that also was going to take me more work than what I was doing. So now I put a price to everything, so that if I have to sit down at my computer, and whether I'm mapping out a strategy or if I'm doing research for you, there's a cost for that. And for me, that allows me to add value to me, and to say, this is what I'm working for. I think that clients don't understand that what goes on in the back end. I actually walked through some of this stuff. I have a program called The Takeover, where some of them were able to see the work that I actually put in the background. And a lot of times they don't see that, so they don't understand your price point. I feel like a lot of coaches are underpaid and undervalued because they don't see that back end. They just see, you showing up for them in that moment. But once I decided to put numbers to everything that I did, it made it a lot easier for me to charge that way. It made it a lot easier, like you said, to shut up after I sent out an invoice. And now nobody hesitates to pay. And if you show your value, people are not going to hesitate to pay you your worth. Like, I know, like, some of the least amount that I have gotten in the last 2 years hasn't been less than $10,000 for a strategy. And some people will say that's too much, but you also have to know who your audience is to know that they're going to value what it is that you're doing for them. If you can't value, you don't understand that value, then you're not going to understand a $10,000 invoice. You're not going to want to pay it. You're going to make an excuse to not pay it. So I'm also heavy on positioning yourself for those opportunities, because you can't grow staying stagnant. And one of my girlfriends, she said that her analogy with that is about, she's mentioned getting on a plane, and how you have to have, you usually only have to take 2 bags because you can't take everybody with you. That's the process. That's the mindset that I have when it comes to that. You cannot grow if you're holding back things. And one of the things that was holding me back was my pricing. But I just couldn't do it. Like you said, I love money. Like, I need to be able to do everything, to go and sit and hang out with Stephanie. I need the money.
That part. That part. Period.
Yeah. And I like to do a whole bunch of nothing, but a lot of something, so, but again, and I don't think that a lot of people mentally understand that mindset. A lot of it is mindset for them to even get to a space to understand that this is what they need, or that there's value to certain things, and until they make that mindset shift, they stay stuck. And it's also not our, dare I say, it's also not up to us to fix everybody. There's some things that are not for us, right? We are strategists, we're coaches. I'm not your therapist. I love you, but let me push you over there, because that's not what I do. You're paying me to do this, and in order for you to get this result, I need you to go handle whatever that is that's going on over there, so that you can come back to me with that open mindset and ready to do what it is. Because I'm an executor. You come to working for me, I don't do those excuses. I don't want to hear none of that. We all got them. Teen mom, domestic violence survivor. You can make it do what it do. You got to. So at some point, you have to want more. You have to want different. But I can go on and on. Go ahead, Jay. Look,
Jay, what are your thoughts? I got thoughts. I got questions. Go ahead.
First of all, yes, Shauna, because I'm over here getting emotional. I'm like, yeah, no, for real. Like, you have to. I love how you broke down putting a price to everything that you do, like every task. I wish that I had thought of that, but that's that's why we're here now. We can learn from each other.
Learning and growing from each other.
Because I even thinking about the different tasks that you do, I don't even think people realize how much you do within what you have as a service, within your services. And so I really love that. So I want to be sure I shout that out because that was amazing.
Thank
For
you.
me, I definitely struggle with it. So to answer the question, I definitely struggle. And the thing that I had a problem with is, again, going back to struggling to understand this concept of the way that my brain works, the solution that I'm able to come up with are valuable. And having my background be in fashion design and having my understanding of what I charge being based on what I can do with my hands, which was a very difficult shift for me to make because it is so much easier for me to conceptualize the price of a product versus the price of a service because it felt so much more abstract. And so for me, it helped me to look up what people do, like similar to what I do, like what do people do and what do they charge for this, and being able to understand like the scope of work that I'm really offering to people and seeing that, oh, what I'm charging is on the low end. It ain't even on the spectrum. Actually, it's over. It's not even touching the minimum of what I should be charging, and keeping in mind what it is that I am offering people and how I'm partnering with them with their businesses. And so seeing it outlined and itemized, I was doing a lot of like back and forth, even with chat. I call my chat Eloquencia.
Eloquencia.
Eloquencia, yeah. It's eloquent with a twist. And so but going back and forth and like putting in the things that I was doing, I'm like, okay, I'm doing this, and this is the result that I'm seeing this person get. And it's showing me, yeah, you could be charging minimum this for what you're doing. And that helped me because once I can put a number to it, which I believe is what you were also doing, Shauna. We just had our own processes, which is so dope to me. But being able to see it almost like itemized, it made it less. I couldn't argue with the numbers. I couldn't argue with seeing, okay, this is minimum 2,000. Like this conversation alone, this strategy session that you offer this person, minimum. And I don't have to be hands-on and editing the video for them and going in and like going in the back end and becoming their employee, which was like a very difficult shift for me to make too, which I would love to hear your thoughts on that, Shauna. But like, not becoming an employee for my clients, but partnering with them and understanding what my role was supposed to be versus what it is that they're responsible for doing, and seeing it more as a partnership and not them being the ones dictating, okay, this is what happened. And you do this. I need you to do this. I need you to run over here. I need you to, go around the corner and do this. Like, no, I have my roles very clearly outlined. This is this is what it costs. This is the structure. This is what I'm offering you. And I think that most importantly, the struggle that was like the most intense was understanding the transformation as well, like not just the process but the transformation, and seeing not only the value in it but like the monetary value in it and what that meant for my clients and what they were getting, and being able to value what I do so highly that I'm not missing it, and I'm able to put words to it but also put a price to it that adequately represents what it is that I'm offering them. So yeah, it was I think that's been still like one of the more challenging things for me is like the pricing of it and being able to say, this is what I'm doing, this is what I want to offer, and this is how much it costs based on what I'm delivering and the transformation that comes with this. So
yes, I'm glad that you added transformation in there. I think a lot of times as coaches and as strategists that we miss that part. And when it comes to pricing a profit, that we don't include that. You mentioned it's easier for you to price your product, but not your service. Again, that's a lot of times we don't know that until we have to be honest with what our value is and what it is that we bring to the table. So love your earrings. But
Thank you.
For me, I've seen your earrings. In my mind, I would say those are like some $40, $49 earrings. But I've seen people at vending shows where they might have handmade those and they would only charge 20. And when I question that, oh, it's handmade or whatever, all they're thinking about is the product and the supplies that they put together. They didn't think that it was their time. I just got a package, I think yesterday, and a young lady sent me a bracelet that she handmade, and it has a certificate of authenticity in it. And I think I paid $12 for this bracelet. She is getting the email as soon as we get off of this call, because I couldn't believe that was all that it was. Again, we have to value what we do and what we bring to the table.
Yeah.
And also to piggyback off of that, the client that, having clients that are middle six figures and up, and being able to pat myself on the back and say that I have a couple clients last year that reached $1 million, and I hadn't reached $1 million. That was another light bulb. Like, I need to charge more. I'm making people millions.
Yeah.
People around me are driving, cars that it's like, and not to say that that's everything, but it's like, when you see stuff like that, and when you know that this is the value, like, I'm bringing enough value to you for you to make $1 million, and I'm only charging you $10,000.
Yeah.
No, now we got to get into other stuff. Now we're talking about, is there some licensing going on? Is there some retainer fees that I got to get for if you reach this figure to that figure? So those are again, we have to think if we're taking it serious. I know it took me doing some case studies and understanding the transformations that I was getting in order for me to be okay with, one, saying no to things that didn't align, and two, charging. And I don't want to say my worth, but knowing my value and what it is that I bring to the table and what I can do.
Ooh. So good. Listen, I think, and I think what has to be said in this conversation is that, this is a conversation that, who was I having this conversation with? I don't remember, but I know I've had it with Jada as well. This idea that I'm not doing it just for the money. And there's nothing noble about that, right? There's things that we want to do. And this whole, I'm not doing it for the money thing is so first of all, it's weird to me. Like, you got to do it for the money. Because what you give, when you set intention, you give attention. So if my intention is not to do it, and not to get paid, and not to get paid well, and not to demonstrate my value, and not to, sing my own praises, and I just want to be some meek, humble, silent person, although I don't believe in humility, I do believe in meekness. I think the challenges come in when we have people who want to, and I have a lot of clients that say, I feel like an imposter. I'm like, imposters never worry about whether they're an imposter. They just go around scamming people. So, yay, you're probably not an imposter if you're worried about it. So bravo for those of you who might be challenged. However, you said something really, and I paraphrased it, really powerful. If you show your value, people won't hesitate to pay you your worth. And I think that's something that gets lost in translation, because that bumps right up into my own construct of worthiness. That bumps right into who I think I am, and who are you to charge these prices, and yada, yada, yada. And I'm like, there is something to be said for someone who can actually do the work. I'm not charging you so I can go flex on social. Okay?
Yep.
I'm charging you because you're literally taking time. Okay. I am extending the invitation of putting you into my gray matter, right? I'm doing that. And that is valuable. The thought processes that take you from 12,000 to 210,000 are valuable. The thought processes that put you on stages and that get you to your first client, right? Because I've had some people that had zero, right? And then they left with thousands. Okay, those processes are valuable. The processes that Jada does, when she's actually coming in and rearranging your brand and sitting there with you, when she could be playing with Chanel or playing with her son or doing what she wants to do, when she's taking time, when we're giving you time, talent, then giving treasure should be easy. But here's what happens way too often, and we're going to talk about this, and then I need to play a commercial or something. Today's broadcast is brought to you by The Vault in East Texas with their new product. It's weight loss and hormone balancing called Thinner. Comment THINNR if you want to know more. If you're on TikTok, send me a message. All right, but yeah, I gotta pay some bills, y'all. So I think the challenge that I see a lot of times is that people are getting taken by the charlatan. The charlatan that showed up. And, we've had this conversation. Jada and I have had this conversation. We've even had it live. Do we have big, shiny things that we could dangle in front of you, like little carrots for you to come work with us? Absolutely. Right? Shauna, I'm sure you too have things you could dangle in front of clients. We even talked about this and say, come work with me. Look at my red bottoms. Look at my Louboutin. It's like, I feel like that's insulting, but it's insulting to us for a particular reason. And so what I feel happens way too often is that people are taken in by that charlatan that showed you the shiny stuff, but couldn't deliver. Now you encounter people who actually can deliver and you're all fiscally shell shocked. Oh my God, I just gave so-and-so 15,000. Not my problem. Just not my problem. Have any of you look at you? See, Shauna, see, here she go. Here she goes. She's doing a TikTok dance. Here she go. She's about to do it. She can do the Chris Brown dance if anybody wants lessons. Okay, she can teach you, but she got to charge. So, have you encountered that? And how do you feel that ties into the narrative of working smart, not hard? Shauna, dance your way into the conversation. What do you think?
Ciao. So I think that let me just say this. Usually people that have that mindset are not my audience. First of all, you have to have a certain type of mindset in order to say, like you said, that this is where I am at and this is where I want to be. If that is what is going to attract you, that means that a lot of times you're not going to be willing to come in and do the work that is required of you in order for you to reach the success. Because what you show me is that you want instantaneous results, and that's not what I do. Now, have I had clients that have came in and I put together a strategy and they did some things and in a couple of weeks they were making money? Absolutely. But my strategies are for long-term growth. I'm talking about what is it that you want to, what is your ultimate goal in your business? Why are you in business? You can't tell me that you want to be in business and then in the same breath say that you're not in it to make money. Why are you in business? Even nonprofits need money to operate.
That part.
So it just doesn't align. And I have literally, it's so draining to the point. Like I remember having to go through my Facebook page and I was like, let me delete this person. Because if she asks for another donation or another something for this business that you are not serious about, or if you take the time to get on social media and say that nobody's supporting you, but you on that same social media app and ain't posted about your business, go find something else to do. We're not playing these games in 2025. I think I just posted the other day on Threads. Is sympathy the new marketing strategy? I don't like it. I don't like it. I need us to do the work.
The poor business owner. Yeah, like I'm a struggling entrepreneur.
I get it. Everybody don't come from the same thing. I can't. I'm like Stephanie. I can't say that I got it out the mud. Have I struggled with it? Absolutely. But I also put the work in.
Yeah.
You are not going to get the results that you want. I had a client one time that told me that she wanted to go, her goal to work with me was to go viral. For what? You don't even have what it takes if you do go viral. You don't have you don't have the resources to fill the orders. You don't even have enough product to fill those orders. Why am I going to help you go? She paid somebody $2,000 to help her go viral. And where are you at now? Like, these are the conversations these are real conversations. The people don't want to have these conversations. They want to have these conversations that are where you're like, okay, yes, this is what I've done. And they want to show you this. They want to show you that. Now let's talk about everything else. Let's talk about this hard work. Let's talk about getting up at 5 o'clock in the morning because you got 10 Zooms that you got to do. And you got to walk your dog, play around with your kids, be a wife and do all that. Like, I think that when it comes to small business, we have to stop holding hands and being okay with mediocrity. And then as Black women, we have to show up so much more, so much better. We have to start holding each other accountable when we see certain things being done. I had to start stepping away because I get so emotionally vested that it starts bothering me. We can't do that, but we have to, as I know for me, I feel like there is some level of that I have to help them be accountable. And I will. I've been that person since. Take that down. I will inbox somebody real quick. This is not helping your business. I even had to stop doing that because people got used to that. And what's that saying when they say they get used to your hand, or I forgot what that that I had to stop doing that. Yeah. Because I know what I have can help you reach a certain space, get to a certain point. You got to believe that. I can lead you wherever, but if you don't believe that you can do it, nothing anybody says is going to make a difference. No, it doesn't matter how much you pay if you are not willing to do the work. We've had clients pay to be a part of SSA just to say they were a client of Shauna Solomon. They were not doing no work. They were not doing anything. We didn't catch it until about 3-4 months in. I'm like, this person ain't showing up. You showing up, but you want to use my name when you go to the bank and get Yep. You need to do the work up here. If I can do it, you can do it. Yep. And I'm not telling you to go to do nothing extravagant. We doing this based off of what your goals are, not mine. I'm doing what I love to do.
Absolutely. She's like, and I'm done. Jada, what are your thoughts?
I think that Shauna wrapped it up very well. Right. I do want to say though that something that I noticed that I think illustrates this perfectly is the situation that has been going on with Pilates by Raven. That whole conversation. Okay. So to summarize it, there is a very popular creator, and she goes by the name Pilates by Raven, and she put out a video basically explaining that Pilates never gave accessible. She compared it to luxury, and it alienated so much of her fan base, which was a majority Black women, and how she almost made it okay that something as simple as moving your body has become so inaccessible to a vast majority of people. And how are you colonizing workouts, how are you colonizing exercises? And so it's become a really big deal. But the thing that's so funny is that Pilates by Raven, there's no shade or hate to her, but she just never appealed to me. She was never somebody that I wanted to learn Pilates from in the first place. Okay. And so she didn't necessarily have that same effect on me, but I could understand why, because she was presenting the aesthetic of Pilates, right? There's an aesthetic that goes with it. Meanwhile, on the ranch, I was learning Pilates from a creator, amazing creator. Her name is Isa Welly. And I could tell that Isa, she loves the art of Pilates. She just loves Pilates, and she wants to make it accessible to as many people as possible. And it's not even about it being, cheap or making it easy for everybody to do it. But what it showed me was that she had a heart for it. She had a heart for it. She had a heart for the people, but she would be somebody who would typically be overlooked. I think also her appearance would have something to do with that as well, because she's a darker skinned Black woman. We already know how that goes. Pilates by Raven is not. So, there also it comes, into play the look of things. And so I feel like a lot of people, if they would have taken a beat and taken a step back, you would have seen that her Pilates by Raven's perspective on this is something that you probably could have caught on to months ago, years ago. But we have built up her platform now, and we got to a place where we're disappointed by her. But even just listening to her talk about it, I was like, this feels natural to you. This feels like this is how it's been your perspective. And it made me think about how the look, the aesthetics, the illusion of success, whether you have it or not, but just the look, the aesthetics of success is so appealing and it draws people in. But there are so many more people who are doing this work who can not only get you results, but they really care about you and probably align more with your values than this person that you're trying to bypass all of the red flags because they look good and they talk good. And so I feel like that, I mean, we see it happen so often, but I felt like that was just a very interesting, that was my take on the whole thing. Everybody's talking about the origins of Pilates. That's cool. I don't care that much about the origins of Pilates, but what I thought was interesting was how she had a lot of people fooled. because again, looking at her, listening to her, I've seen her a few times and it just didn't resonate with me. It just didn't feel like me. And so now to see that she's being honest about who she is and upfront, that's how it goes when you start looking at the shiny and the aesthetics of everything, but not checking just a little bit deeper to see, like, does this person really care? So
Yeah.
Absolutely.
And you know what? I think that really matters because you said something that I really enjoy I really enjoy bringing light to, is the idea of accessibility. Because for me, it's about accessibility and not affordability. I've tried to strip the word affordable out of people's mindsets because your concept of what can be afforded is more than likely going to cause you, and let's be clear, the way you price your good, service, idea, or experience is going to vastly contribute to whether you're working smart or working hard. It really is. And then, of course, there's other things like the name of your business and all this, I can go down the list, but we don't have time for that. We're about to wrap up. But accessibility for me is simply, kind of why we're doing the pay what you want, because I wanted to make some things accessible to our audiences, because I do understand that some people are in a financial bind, et cetera, and they might just need that. Our prices are absolutely. Did I create a whole new suite of offers? Absolutely, because I also wanted to honor the fact that we also have clients that will pony up 4 and 5 figures, and I didn't want them to look up and see what they've invested in being offered at pay what you want. I just felt like that would completely cheapen it. But I think accessibility, knowing that more people can pay $97 versus $9,700, knowing more people can pay, $10,000 than can pay $100,000, because that's the whole thing, right? I think keeping that in mind, and I think what goes with accessibility also is authenticity. I appreciate you sharing that. I wasn't aware of that situation. So this conversation could probably go on and on and on till the break of dawn, but it won't, because Teaching Tuesday has to come to an end. So that being said, since Jada, you're right here, I'm looking at you, and I think Shauna's to my right. Is Shauna on the other side of me? We should all be here. Are we all here?
Yeah.
Are we all in the front? Okay, good. It moved to the middle, and so now I'm like, you did. So I would love, tell the people who are catching this, and for those of you who are catching it live, please comment live. If you're catching it on the replay, please comment replay. You can also check out Jada, I know, on YouTube. And if you're catching this on YouTube, she's going to be linked in the bio. So make sure you check out her channel. A lot of groovy things happening over there. All right. So Jada, what else you got going on so you can tell the party people so we can get out of here?
Well, what I would love people to check out is a series I'm doing on YouTube. Actually, it's called it's not actually a name for it, but it's about how forgiveness impacts your creativity. And I don't know what started this idea. It always starts from just some random thought that I have, but the series breaks down how you may be feeling creatively blocked or stuck, not because you are not capable of thinking of these things or coming up with solutions to your problems or to other people's problems, but you are harboring resentment, shame, unforgiveness, and that's stopping you from moving forward and taking risks and creating something different in this world. And so I've been going through the last episode, we talked about shame. And then this upcoming episode, I'm going to be talking about perfectionism. And I always include actionable steps for you to take inside of the videos. So if you are interested, if you've been feeling blocked, stuck, if you've been feeling just like a sense of fear or dread, but you want to do something new, you want to do something different, then come and check out the series. It's free. It's so much value packed inside of there. So I would love for you to go and check that out.
I love that. I'm going to check it out.
Hey, thank you.
Does she want me to go too?
I do. You go ahead. Tell them what you got going on.
You said Jada, so I didn't.
Girl, it's like double dutch. Just jump in.
Okay. Look, I'm good at that. I can do that too with my little old self. But no. Look, I turned 50 and it seemed like my body was just like. But anyway, so
you're a little loud. You're a little loud on that 50. You're a little loud. I want you to bring it down a few decibels. Thank you, ma'am.
50 is good.
All right.
50 is good.
Love
So
you real big.
I have a group. It's called Position and Paid, and we are going live September 30th. And this is for those who are ready to execute. We do not want anybody that's just coming to make excuses. We want people that are ready to end 2025 with some solid business plans, with being hopefully making some money if you do the work that you're supposed to be doing. It is a free group. It's on Facebook. The link is in my bio. Again, we go live September 30th. However, we are in the process of putting some other resources and stuff inside the group as well. The group is to help you grow in your business. We want everybody to be financially self-sufficient, and we're hoping that this is a resource that'll be able to help you do that.
That sounds amazing. And how do I get into that if I'm interested?
It's on Facebook. It's actually, there's a link in my bio.
Okay.
I didn't provide the link, but the link is in my bio. So y'all know I'm heavy into graphics and all that cute stuff. So it's a graphic. Click on the graphic. There's also some other information in my bio as well. But I'm excited. I want to turn on Jada and finish the rest of my day.
I love it. Well, listen, ladies, thank you so much for being here. I think we've made it pretty clear that when it comes to working smart versus working hard, there's a few things that play into that. It isn't just, oh, you're sitting at home eating your bonbons and doing whatever. Yes, there's a time for that. But in order for that to happen, we need to set foundations in place that allow you to work less, to work smarter, and to be paid the value of what you're bringing to the marketplace. So if myself or either of my guests can help you do that, you know we are happy to serve you. Check out the links in our bios. Reach out to us directly. You know what to do. And this has been Stephanie D. McKenzie, your host for yet another Teaching Tuesday. See you next week.
Have you been on a weight loss journey and the scale just isn't giving you the results you hoped for? Well, meet Thinner, an FDA-registered, all-natural, homeopathic approach that addresses the root causes of how to lose weight and keep it off, especially if hormones are an issue. If you're tired of all of the guesswork and doing it alone, scan the QR code for more info, and let's get you started today.